Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when a single idea, a single truth, a single revelation has the power to awaken something inside you that you didn't even know was asleep.
You won't need to beg for respect ever again. You'll command it, quietly, powerfully, naturally. That's what we're building.
The difference between wishing and winning is strategy. And understand, strategy is not complicated. It is simply a series of intelligent, consistent actions taken toward a divine objective.
You know, there are moments in life when you just feel lost, like you're standing in the middle of a foggy road. And no matter which way you look, you can't see a clear path forward. It's confusing, it's frustrating, and at times it can feel downright hopeless. I know what that feels like. I've been there. I remember sitting alone, wondering why nothing seemed to work out, why I felt stuck while everyone else seemed to be moving forward. But I'm here to tell you something. You're not stuck, you're not lost. It just feels that way because you're looking at your current circumstances as if they define you, but they don't. Your current results are nothing more than a reflection of your past thoughts.
And today, that truth is simple. Your mind is the most important real estate you will ever own. And if you don't protect it, life will take it from you. I want to begin with a question that shook me to my core the day I finally answered it honestly. Who have you allowed to live inside your mind rent-free? Because the answer to that question determines the quality of your life. Let me take you back to a moment I'll never forget. Years ago, I met a young man backstage before a talk. His eyes were tired. His shoulders were heavy. You could tell life had been talking to him louder than he'd been talking to himself. He said, "Mr. Brown, I feel like I don't own my mind anymore. I feel like every time I start believing, something knocks me down." I asked him, "Whose voice is that in your head? Yours or somebody else's?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to, because I've been there too. Maybe you have too. Maybe you've let the world hand you its script. Maybe you've let other people's opinions become your reality. Maybe you've let fear build a home inside your mind and pay the rent with your peace. And as I looked at that young man, I told him something I had learned the hard way. Your mind is a battlefield, and only one of two things will live there: your greatness or your ghosts.
A mind so disciplined it becomes a force, one that speaks before you ever open your mouth. Ready to see how? Let's keep going. When you build a disciplined mind, the first thing you start to notice is your ability to control yourself in situations where others lose it. That's the real test. Not how loud you are when things are easy, but how calm you stay when everything around you is chaos. Self-control is the core of discipline. It's the moment you feel the urge to react, to complain, to lash out. But instead, you pause, you breathe, you choose a response, not a reaction. Most people are ruled by impulse. They speak without thinking, they act without planning, and then they wonder why their life feels out of control. But when your mind is trained, you don't move like that. You slow everything down. You observe, you think, you decide. That's power. Because now you're not a puppet to your emotions, you're the one holding the strings. There's nothing soft about self-control. It's not weakness. It's strength held back by choice. It's knowing you could say something but choosing silence. It's knowing you could act on your anger but choosing peace. It's not because you're afraid, but because you've already won the fight inside.
You don't need to do everything at once. You need to know what to do now and then do it well. You must focus your energy like a laser, not a flashlight. Because scattered effort leads to scattered results, but focused faith produces exponential return. Now I must speak to you about another sacred principle: decision. The man who is indecisive is double-minded, and the scripture teaches that such a man is unstable in all his ways. Wealth does not come to the confused. Success does not belong to the hesitant. Power does not dwell in the heart of the unsure. You must become a man who decides quickly and changes slowly. Why? Because decision is the mechanism through which you demonstrate faith. Every time you make a clear decision, you say to the universe, I know who I am. I know what I want, and I trust that what I need will be revealed to me as I go. That kind of man is rare, and that kind of man is rich. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for full understanding. Don't wait for everyone to agree. Make the decision that honors your highest self, and then act like it's already done. When you commit fully, the details will follow. And once you've decided, you must protect that decision with persistence. Persistence is not stubbornness. Persistence is spiritual loyalty to your vision. It is the quiet refusal to surrender your divine right to a mediocre life.
And if you let that sink in for a moment, you'll realize something powerful. You have the ability to change those results starting right now. You see, everything in your life, your relationships, your finances, your health, is a mirror of what's going on inside of you. Most people try to change their circumstances without changing themselves, and that's why they stay in the same place. It's like standing in front of a mirror, frowning and expecting the reflection to smile back at you. It doesn't work that way. Change starts from within. It starts with your thoughts. Your mind is an incredible tool, and most people are just scratching the surface of what it can do. When I first learned that my thoughts could literally shape my reality, I didn't believe it at first. I mean, how could thinking something different change the money in my bank account or the direction of my life? But then I decided to test it. I thought, what do I have to lose? So I started to think differently. I started to focus on what I wanted instead of what I didn't want. I started to imagine myself succeeding instead of failing. And you know what? Things started to change. Not overnight, but gradually, like a fog lifting to reveal the road ahead. It's not magic. It's a process. It's about choosing your thoughts deliberately instead of letting them run wild. Most people live on autopilot, thinking the same thoughts day in and day out, wondering why their life never changes. But when you become aware, when you stop and think about what you're thinking about, that's when you gain control. That's when you can steer your life in a new direction. I remember reading Think and Grow Rich for the first time. That book changed everything for me, but it wasn't just the book. It was the understanding that came with it. The realization that if I could control my mind, I could control my destiny. And so can you. You might feel lost now, but feeling lost is just a signal that it's time to recalibrate, to reimagine what's possible for you. Your feelings aren't there to punish you. They're there to guide you.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. You cannot afford to leave your mind unprotected. Not in this world. Not in this season of your life. Not when everything you dream of, everything you pray for, everything you fight for, depends on what lives in your head. There are people who protect their phones with passwords. People who protect their homes with locks. People who protect their cars with alarms. But the one thing that determines your future, your mind, you leave it open for anybody and anything to walk through. No, the days of letting life trespass on your mental property, those days are over. Because let me tell you something, you cannot live a high-quality life with a low-quality mindset. You cannot create a future while replaying an old past. You cannot step into your purpose while nurturing your wounds. You cannot become who you were born to be while feeding thoughts that were never yours to begin with. And that is why this message, this journey we're about to go on, is crucial. Because today is not just about motivation. It's not just about inspiration. It's about taking back ownership of the most powerful thing you have, your mind. Every dream you have, every breakthrough you've prayed for, every level you hope to reach starts with one decision. To protect your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 life-changing stages. 7 emotional, powerful, transformative truths that will help you reclaim your mental territory. Each one is a chapter in the story of becoming the strongest, most resilient, most unstoppable version of yourself. Not points, not bullet lists, but living, breathing lessons woven through stories, inner battles, emotional breakthroughs, and the raw honesty we all need. So I want you to lean in. I want you to silence every distraction. I want you to hear me, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. Because if you truly take in what I'm about to share, your life will never be the same. Your mind becomes whatever you feed it.
That kind of control changes how people see you. It changes how you see yourself. You no longer need to react to everything. You stop chasing validation. You stop proving points. You just become unshakable. And when people see that, they respect it, even if they don't say it out loud, because deep down, they wish they had it too. The world respects the one who stays calm when others panic, the one who keeps going when others quit, the one who speaks little but moves with purpose. That's the quiet authority of discipline. And it all begins with mastering yourself. Self-control isn't about being perfect, it's about progress. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you take a step toward becoming the person who commands respect, without ever having to ask for it. Respect doesn't come from appearances, it comes from what people sense about you. And what they sense is shaped by how you carry yourself, how you think, how you react. Discipline is what creates that energy. The more grounded your mind becomes, the more people recognize something different in you, even if they can't explain it. When your thoughts are steady, when your actions are intentional, people notice, not because you're demanding attention, but because your discipline shows up in everything you do, in how you walk, in how you speak, in what you choose to ignore. That kind of presence is rare in a world full of noise and distractions. And that's why it stands out. You don't need to tell anyone who you are. Let your discipline do that. Let your work speak. Let your habits speak. Let your patience and focus speak. The mind that is trained to stay calm, stay consistent, and stay true. It doesn't need a stage to be powerful. People respect what they can feel is real. And real discipline, real control is impossible to fake.
The world will test you. It will push back. But the man who persists, backed by purpose, reinforced by prayer, and driven by faith cannot be defeated. Because he does not rely on external motivation, he draws power from within, and that's where the God in you becomes your advantage. While others grow weary, you tap into endless supply. While others quit at the first sign of difficulty, you remember that pressure is a sign of promotion. That opposition is proof that you are advancing. That delays are not denials, they are divine refinements. You must learn to love the process, to bless the friction, to see every setback as sacred, because all things are working for your good, all things, even the pain, even the silence, even the seasons when it seems like nothing is working. That's when the real work is happening. That's when you are being prepared for a level of success you prayed for but did not yet have the strength to hold. And that preparation takes time. But time is not your enemy. Time is your ally when you walk with God. He is not rushed. He is not confused. He is building you into a man who can build empires, not just chase paychecks. He is forging character, not just creating comfort. And if you trust that process, your reward will be far greater than you imagined. Now, I must speak to your relationship with money because most men have inherited beliefs that block their blessing. Money is not evil. Money is not dirty. Money is not ungodly. Money is a tool, a servant, a multiplier. In the hands of a wise man, money feeds families, funds visions, heals communities, and creates legacies. So why are you afraid to claim it? Why do you hesitate to ask for it, earn it, receive it, and manage it with confidence? Because somewhere along the way you were taught that money and morality are at odds, that to want more is to be greedy, that to be rich is to be corrupt. But I say this to you now, the greatest lie ever told to keep men poor is that wealth is unrighteous.
That feeling of being lost, It's nudging you to look within, to ask yourself what you really want, what you really believe about yourself. Because deep down, you know the answers. They might be buried under doubt, fear, or years of negative conditioning, but they're there. And it's okay if you don't have it all figured out right now. Life isn't about having every step planned out. It's about taking the next right step, trusting that the path will unfold as you move forward. Most people wait until they feel ready, but I'll tell you something, you're never going to feel completely ready. There's always going to be fear, always going to be uncertainty. But the people who move forward, the ones who succeed, are the ones who act in spite of that fear. They trust in the process in themselves even when things seem unclear. You have to develop that trust. Not in the external world, not in your circumstances, but in your ability to figure things out. Because you can. You've overcome things before, you've faced challenges and come out stronger on the other side. This is no different. It might feel heavier right now, but that's just because you're on the brink of a breakthrough. Sometimes things have to fall apart a little before they come together. It's like shaking up a snow globe. It looks like chaos at first, but give it a moment and everything settles into place. Your life is no different. Most people underestimate the power of small decisions, the little choices made in quiet moments when no one's watching. That's where the real change happens. It's in deciding to get up when you don't feel like it, to believe in yourself when everything around you seems to contradict that belief. It's easy to let the outside world dictate how you feel, to let circumstances control your emotions. But when you start to flip that around, when you decide how you want to feel and carry that into your circumstances, that's when things begin to shift.
When I was growing up, my mama used to say something that I didn't truly understand until I became an adult fighting my own battles. She'd say, "Leslie, whatever you feed will grow, and whatever you starve will die." I thought she was only talking about the little plants she kept on the windowsill. But life taught me the truth. Your mind is the greatest garden you'll ever be responsible for. And whether you realize it or not, you are feeding it every single day. I remember talking to a woman after a speech one day. She told me, "Les, I feel trapped. I feel like no matter what I do, I can't escape the thoughts that keep pulling me backward." I asked her, "What have you been feeding your mind?" She paused. Tears filled her eyes. She said, "Everything that hurts." And that hit me, because we don't always realize when we're nourishing the weeds instead of the seeds. Listen to me carefully. Your thoughts are not just thoughts. They are architects. They build, they shape, they design. They influence every decision, every step, every reaction, every fear, and every dream. You don't rise above the quality of your thoughts. You rise through them. And here's the truth that many people don't want to hear. Your mind doesn't care what you feed it. It will grow whatever you give it. Feed it fear and fear grows. Feed it doubt and doubt expands. Feed it scarcity and scarcity becomes your lifestyle. Feed it other people's opinions and you'll become a prisoner to their expectations. But feed it hope and hope strengthens you. Feed it courage and courage finds you in moments you thought you couldn't handle. Feed it discipline, and discipline builds the life you said you wanted. Feed it love, and love softens the places you thought would stay hardened forever. Your mind is always eating. The question is, what is on the menu? We live in a world filled with mental junk food, negativity on the news, comparison on social media, criticism disguised as advice, fear disguised as caution. And if you don't intentionally give your mind something better, life will serve you something worse. Think about this.
Most people live by emotion. They say things just to be heard. They act out to get a reaction. But a disciplined mind doesn't chase attention. It doesn't move with the crowd. It creates its own standard, and that standard becomes a mirror. Others look at you and see what they're missing in themselves. That's why respect follows you. Not because you asked for it, but because you became the example. When your discipline is stronger than your mood, stronger than your doubts, stronger than your distractions, you become someone others quietly admire. You become the one they look at when they're lost. Because your stillness, your strength, reminds them that control is possible, that there's another way to live, and that's the secret. When you master yourself, you no longer need to say a word. Your life does all the talking. Every day, there's a silent battle happening inside your mind. It's not always loud. It doesn't always show on the outside, but it's there. The battle between what you want now and what you want most. The struggle between comfort and growth. That's where discipline is either built or broken. The strongest people aren't the ones who never feel weak. They're the ones who feel it and still keep going. The disciplined mind isn't about never having negative thoughts. It's about not letting those thoughts control your choices. It's waking up tired and still choosing to show up. It's feeling fear and still stepping forward. That's the quiet strength that separates the average from the unstoppable. You have to learn how to say no to your impulses, to distractions, to excuses. Every no you say to the easy path is a yes to the person you're becoming. And that version of you, the one who's consistent, focused, and unshakable, is built through these internal battles.
The truth is this: when a righteous man becomes rich, the world gets better, because his wealth flows through clean hands. It funds solutions. It honors excellence. It inspires others to believe that they too can rise. So from now on, you must see money not as a goal, but as a result. A result of value creation. A result of impact. A result of alignment with spiritual law. And the more value you create, the more money will find you, without strain, without shame, and without apology. And what is the most powerful way to create value? By solving problems. The man who solves problems is the man who earns wealth. That's why you must train your mind to see solutions, not just obstacles. Every challenge you face is a doorway to creativity. And creativity is divine currency. You are a problem solver. You are a leader. You are a thinker. You're not here to work for money. You are here to design systems, to build businesses, to invent, to write, to speak, to coach, to lead. Whatever your calling is, know this: the more you grow, the more you earn. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you trust the God in you, the more life will trust you with opportunity. And I will tell you one more thing. Your environment matters. The voices you listen to, the people you spend time with, the places you frequent, these things form your atmosphere. And atmosphere affects growth. You cannot grow rich in a toxic environment. You cannot grow rich listening to fear, gossip, laziness, and doubt. You must build an atmosphere of belief in your home, in your mind, in your conversations. Surround yourself with people who speak life. Read books that stretch your mind. Watch teachings that awaken your spirit. Protect your gates, what you hear, what you see, and what you entertain. Because your input becomes your inner world, and your inner world becomes your outer results. And if there's no one around you who believes at the level you do, then be the first. Start the movement. Be the light. Be the proof that one man connected to God can change everything. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not stuck. You are simply being called to a higher frequency. And the invitation is clear. Rise up. Think higher. Live richer. Give greater. Decide faster. Move boldly. Because when the man aligns his thought with divine truth, the entire universe moves to reward him.
You've got to be bigger than your environment. You've got to stop letting what's happening outside of you control what's happening inside of you. I know it's tempting to look at your bank account, your job, your relationships, and let those things determine your worth or your potential. But those are just current results, and results can change. They will change when you change the cause, and the cause is always your thinking. I remember a time when everything in my life seemed to be going wrong. Nothing made sense, and I kept asking, why me? But one day, I asked a different question. What is this trying to teach me? And that question changed everything. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. Every challenge, every setback is a lesson, a stepping stone if you choose to see it that way. Most people get stuck because they keep reliving the same stories, the same limiting beliefs. They tell themselves, I'm not good enough, or it's too late for me. And those thoughts become their reality, but those are just stories. They're not facts. And just like you learned those stories, you can unlearn them. You can replace them with new ones, stories of possibility, of strength, of resilience. Imagine what would happen if you started telling yourself, I've got this, even when you don't fully believe it yet. The belief comes after the action, not before. You don't wait to feel confident to act. You act, and that action breeds confidence. You have more power than you realize. You've got this incredible mind, capable of creating ideas that can transform your entire life. But most people never tap into that power because they're too busy focusing on what's missing, on what's wrong. What if you shifted your focus? What if instead of thinking about what you don't have, you started focusing on what you do have? Gratitude isn't just some fluffy concept. It's a powerful tool that can rewire your brain, shift your energy, and open doors you never thought possible. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you raise your vibration. And when you're in a higher vibration, you attract better things into your life. It's not just theory, it's how the universe works. Like attracts like. If you walk around feeling defeated, you'll attract more reasons to feel that way. But if you start to embody hope, even just a little, you'll begin to notice things shifting. People show up, opportunities arise, life responds to your energy. I know it can be hard to believe when you're in the thick of it, when things seem dark and you're just trying to keep your head above water. But sometimes all you need is a tiny shift, a new perspective, a new thought. You don't have to solve everything today. You just need to take one small step. Maybe that step is choosing to believe that things can get better. Maybe it's reaching out to someone who uplifts you. Or maybe it's just sitting quietly, breathing deeply, and reminding yourself that you're still here, still standing, and that counts for something.
Have you ever worked hard to stay positive, only for one conversation, one comment, one memory, one image to tear all that work apart? That didn't happen because you were weak. It happened because your mind is sensitive, and it responds quickly to whatever you feed it. You've got to develop mental nutrition. You've got to decide, not by accident, but by intention, what thoughts deserve to live inside you. Every day, every morning, every moment, you must ask yourself, did I feed my fears today or my future? I remember a man I met who had spent years believing he wasn't good enough. When I asked him who told him that, he said, I don't even know anymore. I think I kept repeating it until it became mine. See, you can inherit a belief without choosing it. You can repeat a lie until it sounds like truth. You can feed something you don't even want, and because you fed it, it becomes strong enough to control you. But here's the miracle of the mind. It's never too late to change its diet. You can decide today, right now, to stop feeding your mental weaknesses and start feeding your mental strengths. You can choose thoughts that build instead of thoughts that break. You can teach your mind to crave what elevates you instead of what drains you. Yes, it takes effort. Yes, it takes repetition. Yes, it takes daily commitment, but you are worth that commitment. Your future is worth that effort. Your peace is worth that fight. Some of you have been starving your dreams and feeding your distractions. Starving your confidence and feeding your insecurities. Starving your purpose and feeding your problems. Not anymore. This is the moment you shift. This is the moment you reclaim your menu. This is the moment you say, I choose what grows in me. Because the life you live externally will always begin with the life you nurture internally. You can't plant weeds and expect roses. You can't feed yourself poison and expect health. You can't nourish your fears and expect faith to win. But if you feed your mind with intention, if you nourish it with truth, if you strengthen it with belief, your life will begin to bloom in ways you never imagined. You deserve a mind that works for you, not against you. And that begins with what you feed it. Guard your mind from other people's noise. There comes a moment in life when you realize that not every voice deserves a seat at the table of your mind. Not every opinion is sacred. Not every comment is truth. Not every person who speaks into your life is qualified to do so. Some people talk because they care. Some people talk because they're afraid. Some talk because they're projecting their own limitations.
You win them in silence, long before anyone sees the results. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. When the world pulls you in 100 directions, a disciplined mind stays focused on the mission. It knows what matters. It doesn't get caught in drama. It doesn't waste time proving itself. It moves with clarity, even when the path is hard. Most people let their mind run wild. They let every emotion turn into an action. But you can train your mind like a muscle. You can teach it to pause, to reflect, to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. That's the difference between being reactive and being powerful. And power isn't loud. Real power is calm. Real power is choice. When you master the inner battle, the outer world starts to change. Because people feel your energy, they see your consistency, and they can't help but respect the kind of discipline that doesn't need to shout to be seen. The most dangerous version of you is the one who stays disciplined when no one's watching. Not for praise, not for likes, not for applause, but because you've decided who you are and you refuse to be anything less. That's where real power comes from. Quiet decisions, made in private, repeated daily, until they shape a mind that's untouchable. You can't fake that kind of strength. It shows in your habits. It shows in your ability to delay gratification. In a world addicted to shortcuts and instant results, discipline makes you different. While others chase the quick win, you build something lasting. While others seek attention, you build character. And character is what people respect, even when they can't explain why. It starts with the little things. The choice to stay consistent when you feel tired. The decision to stay focused when your mind wants to wander. These small moments matter, because every time you do what you said you would, especially when it's hard, you earn trust with yourself. That self-trust becomes your foundation. It becomes the reason you don't need to force confidence. You simply carry it. People feel that. They sense when someone has done the hard work inside. There's no need to talk about it. It's in your discipline, in your stillness, in your calm focus. When others panic, that kind of presence is magnetic. Not because it's loud, but because it's real. And once you've developed that kind of discipline, you stop trying to impress people. You stop needing permission. You know who you are. You know what you're building. And that quiet certainty speaks louder than any words ever could.
You don't have to wait for anyone's permission. You don't need the applause. You don't need the spotlight. You need only one thing. To believe that the God who made you is the same God living in you. And through that connection, all things are possible. Now write your vision again, but this time make it bigger. Set your goals again, but this time make them bolder. Speak your truth again, but this time make it louder. And act on your plan again, but this time with no hesitation. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs you fully activated, fully aligned, and fully alive. And that version of you, he is coming. He is ready. He is already here. Now we arrive at the place where few ever do, not because they lack potential, but because they lack endurance. You see, it is not intelligence or talent or even opportunity that separates the wealthy man from the average man. It is spiritual stamina. The decision to stay the course, even when it's hard, to walk in faith, even when the evidence is thin, to believe in the unseen while building in the physical. And this stamina doesn't come from your willpower alone. It comes from your alignment with God. A man who is deeply connected to the divine does not need constant motivation. He has revelation. He does not crumble at delay. He understands that all things work together, not just the good things, but the setbacks, the silence, the waiting. Because everything that feels like resistance is often refinement. And refinement makes room for real wealth. The kind of wealth that doesn't flee in a crisis. The kind of wealth that can't be stolen by inflation. The kind of wealth that outlasts your own lifetime. Because the richest men in the world are not remembered for how much they earned, but for how much they built. For how deeply they impacted, and for how much they served. So if you desire to grow truly rich, with the God in you guiding every move, then you must be more than a moneymaker. You must be a builder of people, a builder of vision, a builder of systems, principles, values, and legacies. This requires integrity. It requires maturity. It requires that you step out of small thinking and into stewardship. You must begin to see yourself not just as a man who earns, but as a man who multiplies, a man who manages, a man who transforms every room he enters because he carries within him the unmistakable presence of divine intelligence. And that presence, when fully activated, becomes your greatest asset.
You've made it through every hard day so far. Don't discount that. There's a resilience in you that you might not even recognize because you've been living with it for so long. But I see it. I know it's there. You wouldn't still be here if you didn't have that strength. And it's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about acknowledging where you are without judgment and then deciding where you want to go from here. Life is fluid. Just because you felt lost doesn't mean you are lost. Sometimes feeling lost is just a sign that you're ready for something more, something different. And that's a good thing. It means you're growing. Comfort zones are cozy, but nothing grows there. Growth happens in the discomfort, in the uncertainty. And I know it's scary. Change is always scary at first. But staying stuck in a place that drains you is far scarier when you think about the long-term cost. You deserve more, not because of anything you do, but because of who you are. You're worthy of happiness, of peace, of success, just as you are right now. You don't have to prove yourself. You just have to be yourself. And that version of you, the one that's authentic, that's real, that's where your power lies. There's something remarkable that happens when you stop resisting where you are and start accepting it as part of your journey. Acceptance doesn't mean you settle or give up. It means you acknowledge what is so you can move forward with clarity instead of fighting against reality. When you fight what's happening, you waste energy on frustration and blame. But when you accept it, you reclaim that energy and redirect it towards solutions. Think about it. How much time have you spent worrying about things you can't control? How much energy have you poured into replaying mistakes or regretting decisions? What if you took all that energy and used it to imagine a better future? Not just daydreaming, but really feeling it, believing that it's possible. Your mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. And when you consistently focus on the life you want, you start to move toward it in ways you can't even predict. The key is consistency. You can't just think positively once and expect miracles. It's about making a decision, a real, firm decision that you're going to think differently, act differently, even when it's hard.
But here's the truth I need you to understand today. If you don't guard your mind from the noise of others, you will slowly forget the sound of your own voice. I remember a young woman who came up to me after a seminar in Chicago. Her dream was to open a school. She had the passion, she had the education, she had the vision, but she lacked one thing: belief. Not because she hadn't earned it, but because someone convinced her she didn't deserve it. She said, "Or Mr. Brown, every time I try to dream, I hear my family telling me it's unrealistic. I hear my coworkers laughing at me. I hear everyone's voice except my own, and that is the danger of unguarded minds. They become echo chambers for other people's fears. Let me tell you something real people will try to build fences around your future using the wood from their own broken dreams. They will hand you their insecurities, wrap them up as advice, and expect you to live by limits they couldn't overcome. But listen, their noise is not your story. Their doubt is not your destiny. Their fear is not your foundation. If you're not careful, you will let people who stop trying convince you to stop too. You will let people who settled for less convince you that more is impossible. You will let people who never fought for their dreams talk you out of fighting for yours. You've got to guard your mind like a sacred temple. You've got to decide who gets access and who gets denied. You have to learn to say, I love you, but your voice cannot live in my head. I respect you, but your reality is not my blueprint. I hear you, but I don't receive that. Because here's a truth most people never learned. Protecting your mind does not mean cutting people off. It means cutting their power off. You can love someone without letting them shape your identity. You can respect someone without accepting their limitations. You can listen to someone without swallowing their doubt. Your dreams need space. Your heart needs silence. Your purpose needs clarity. And sometimes that clarity only comes when you turn the volume of the world down and turn the volume of your spirit up.
This is how respect is earned, not through noise, not through force, but through unwavering discipline that others can see without you ever needing to say a thing. A disciplined mind doesn't chase emotions, it leads them. It doesn't wait to feel motivated. It doesn't depend on the right mood. It simply does what needs to be done, whether it feels good or not. That's the difference between those who wish and those who win. Discipline doesn't ask for permission. It creates momentum by action, not by feeling. There will be days when everything in you wants to stop. Days when you question your path, when nothing seems to be moving fast enough. But the disciplined mind doesn't collapse under doubt. It doesn't quit when progress is slow. It understands that growth isn't loud. It's quiet, steady, and often invisible. What others call boring, discipline calls necessary. You build this mindset by showing up consistently. Not once, not sometimes. Every single day. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when no one claps. Because that's what shapes a presence that demands respect. It's not what you do when things are easy, it's how you respond when it's hard. Discipline also means protecting your mind, being careful with what you allow in, what you listen to, what you focus on. The more you feed your mind strength, the more strength you create. A distracted mind is a defeated mind, but a disciplined one becomes clear, sharp, and unshaken by noise. You begin to move with intent. You stop wasting time. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your vision, because your focus becomes your power. And when your focus is locked in, your actions follow. That's how consistency is born, not from hype, but from clarity. This is how respect finds you. Not because you speak louder, but because you live differently, with control, with direction, with a mind that's no longer pulled by weakness, but led by purpose.
When you walk into a room, you are not alone. When you pitch your idea, you are not speaking alone. When you make a decision, you are not choosing alone. You are being guided, moment by moment, by a voice that is quiet but never wrong. And that voice is not found in noise, it is found in stillness. So you must guard your peace. Turn off the distractions. Close the tabs. Silence the world. And get alone with the one who gave you the vision in the first place. Because the more successful you become, the more tempting it will be to rely on your own strength. But man was never meant to live by strength alone. He was meant to live by spiritual power, and that power is renewed in solitude, not applause. So return to your source often, keep your ear tuned to his direction, and never forget, all the riches in the world cannot replace a single moment of divine instruction. You now understand what most men never will, that riches are not something you chase. They are something you become. You become rich internally first through thoughts of confidence, peace, vision, and purpose. Then you express that richness through action, faith-filled, bold, strategic action. And here's the beauty of it. Once you become that man, no one can take it from you. You could lose the business and you'd rebuild it. You could lose the deal and you'd find a better one. Because the source of your wealth is not in the bank, it is in your mind, your spirit, your heart, your habits. That is what we mean by think and grow rich with the God in you. It is not about luck. It is about law. And the laws of the universe always respond to the man who is in right relationship with himself and his Creator. Now let's talk about the practical side of mastery. What must you do daily to remain in this frequency of abundance? You must begin your day with intention. Before the world has a chance to shape you, you must shape yourself.